So let's talk about chiropractic in the context of integrated memory, trauma, touch, and language. I've worked with a variety of chiropractors. My last was Matt Egan in San Rafael, and he was actually one of the best touch chiropractors. But what I found was I was experiencing a split between what I experienced as emotional, psychological abuse and touch. So good touch, but deteriorating psychological well-being. Now, depending on how you name it, Egan was not actually abusing me, because you can experience psychological deterioration about and as a result of the stories one creates in response to someone else's behavior. So my story is that if I share something really meaningful emotionally, if the person does not acknowledge or actively discourages the sharing, that it's a deranking, a reduction in value, a dishonor given to that emotion. As a result of Matt consistently doing this with my feelings, ignoring them, minimizing them, deflecting, just moving through without honor, the message I got reinforced a core belief or wound which says that no one values feelings in our culture. I'll never be heard. My feelings are not welcome anywhere. They're not welcome here, 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 or here. They're not welcome anywhere. Well, this creates a trauma, a feeling of grief, and so this thought, my feelings are not welcome anywhere, is and continues to create part of the problem. And in that context, and I'm seeing the blurring in and out and lack of focus, perhaps just as you are, so I'm fiddling around. In that context, a depressing, painful future, depressing, painful world responds to this belief, this thought. And just as I experienced the rage, with this camera and this lens, which is it's similar. I'm noticing the various everything's wrong with this. So that feeling, everything's wrong, produces rage, and it goes very, very fast and very rapid. But then it's overwhelming, it's depressing, it's unspeakable, etc., because it becomes global. Now, working at Chiro Marin with Brenda was a bit of a journey. So first, dissociating, actually being fired by Egan for bringing this up, in a context in which he didn't really want to deal with this. Then came searching for other chiropractors, which made it worse, right? Because the core toxic belief is my feelings are not welcome anywhere. No one wants to hear them. So the medicine is to be heard. And in a chiropractic setting with integrated touch. Why? Because the body is holding the feelings. I don't want to go and talk with a therapist who isn't touching me. I want someone who adjusts my body to bring up feelings and then have a space to hear them. So every chiropractor I speak with, 3 chiropractors, reject me on that basis. What's the solution? And again, this is another global thing. I feel rage that I'm never going to be free to do what I want to do. I'll never be enough. All I know is that my dog, who urinates on the carpet as soon as I let him in, is frantically, desperate to come in. And I feel the pressure of that. It's like, I don't want, I want to live up to that. And so, we've got all kinds of kind of suffocating energy in the space right now with all these different things, work that needs to be done, food that needs to be eaten. Philip, sit. And all this endless stuff. Racing. And there's these 3 chiropractors where I say, I've had this bad experience with this chiropractor who will not acknowledge feelings and empathize and who keeps saying, how are you? And when I tell them how I am, it's as if I don't exist. So I want to have a different experience with a chiropractor who either at least doesn't ask how I am if they really don't want to know, or if they do, actually makes time to listen. Could you make 7 minutes during or after a session to talk and understand this wound? Well, the first chiropractor said he was dealing with trauma of his own and didn't feel ready to deal with anyone else's. So, no. Then he recommended someone who he said may or may not be a good fit. Then another chiropractor seemed good until I brought up talking about feelings. Now we have another invasion of sound and thought that in some way populates into this thing that, we've got a landscaper across the street making lots of noise with power tools. Don't know if you can hear it or not, but it's this thing that this isn't good enough, right? And so these are some of the core messages, delivered in childhood that get triggered and amplified. And there's a mountain of grief under these things because this is a crude way of dealing with these things. Talking to a camera to a group of strangers at an unknown period of time, desynchronized in time, etc. It's a crude way of dealing. It's just what I have. It's much better than a notebook in being physical and in speaking these things. But there's a lot of sensitivity and trauma, etc. in this terrain. Anyway, I found Brenda, did a session with her. The physical manipulation is about, 40% as good as Egan. But she will listen and not rush with empathy, which makes the situation 700 times more beneficial than Egan. And she didn't run away when I explained to her that feelings come up as a result of doing chiropractic work. She said, okay, what we need to do is have you need to schedule reevaluation meetings because those last about 25 minutes. Well, we've been spending 45 minutes per session dealing with what comes up around touch. And it's really, really great because now there's integration. And part of what we're doing by having a witness, in this case a compassionate witness, is we're taking the load off of the 6-year-old, the scared 6-year-old inside of me, that doesn't know what to do, that is afraid of being punished, that expects to be hit or shouted at for doing it wrong, is afraid of making a mistake, and needs love and needs healing. And has been holding on to these words and these insights and ideas and awarenesses and sensations for decades, and just wants to give them to someone and have them be loved.